It is just now 4:03, and opening exercises are by me. And so I have asked a little indulgence, and that is that if you all, I've given some ribbons out today because October is Breast Cancer Awareness. This is the most common cancer among women. There are approximately 15,000 new cases in Florida each year, about 160 in Citrus County alone. So I'm going to first ask, because you might wonder, well, why would breast cancer awareness have anything to do with some of the students in the room? And I'm going to ask if those students, if you would all stand, and I'll come forward. And if you just stand up in the front here for everyone to see you. And then coaches, if Coach Hamilton and Coach Gatton, if you would come forward to the podium. October, and I'm going to give a couple of these for you guys to take. One's going to go to Mr. Allen, one's actually going to go to Mr. Verlato. And but you can, if some of you would hold these as they would. I'm going to just put one back here for the board
Well,
to.
I have one for them. It's just
Oh,
not
do
as
you?
fancy as theirs.
No, we'll do it for now. Yeah. On October 3rd, 2019, two rival teams in Citrus County came together to not just compete, but more importantly, to compete against breast cancer. And this was the brainchild of Coach Gatton. Coach Gatton, I will just share, is the new coach of the Crystal River High School swim team. He is a teacher at Crystal River Middle School, has 3 decades of swim and dive experience. In addition to, he was a diver for Townsend University. And before I give it to Coach, if starting down here with Ethan, if Ethan, you would share your name, your grade, and also what your stroke is your favorite stroke or your common stroke.
My name is Ethan Antonio. I'm from Lecanto High School. This is my senior year, and I swim fly.
My name is Noah Christensen. I go to Lecanto High School. I'm a senior, and my favorite stroke is stroke.
I'm Chelsea Hodges. I'm a senior at Lecanto High School, and my favorite stroke is breaststroke.
My name is Jordan Johnston, and I'm a junior at Lecanto High School, and I like backstroke.
I'm Hannah Laycock. I'm a senior at Crystal River. I swim the individual medley.
I'm Genevieve Kennedy. I'm a junior at Crystal River High School, and my first stroke is freestyle.
I'm Ashlyn Honeycutt. I'm a junior at Crystal River High School, and I'm a diver.
I'm Charles Wilson. I'm a junior at Crystal River High School, and I swim 50 and I'm free.
My name is James Price. I go to Crystal River High School, and my favorite stroke is fly.
And Coach Gatton, I'm going to go ahead and give it over to you.
Okay, I'm Chuck Gatton. I'm an ESC teacher at Crystal River Middle School, and I coach the high school swim team at Crystal River, among other things. Breast cancer is a big deal to me. I had an aunt pass away from it decades ago, and it's always meant something to me. So the previous school districts I taught at, I always wore pink on Wednesday and honor that. And then at Crystal River Middle School, I do the morning show there. So that's a big thing we do. We rock the pink at Crystal River Middle School on Wednesday. So when I came to join these people, I said, well, let's have a breast cancer awareness swim meet. So that's where the idea came from. And we made swim caps up for that day, what you see in the pictures. It has breast cancer awareness meet. And then I made 2 sets. One has the pirate logo, and the other one had the Panther logo on it. So the kids all wore these. Just had to make sure they wore the logo on the right side when they finished, so we knew what team they were on. Since they all look the same, as you can tell in the picture there. So that was their gift for that. And then we did a team challenge to see how much money we could raise for breast cancer awareness. So we had 2 jars at the entrance when they came in. People put donations in, and proudly say we raised $466.25 last Thursday. So that was fantastic. We appreciate that. The only problem is we're having a hard time finding somebody to give it to because of all the paperwork about writing a check to somebody. We just can't go hand it to the foundation. So we're working on that, so hopefully we'll have a solution here within the next week or so. So it was a great night to honor those that have fought the fight and those that have defeated it, and to remember the ones that unfortunately lost their battle. So it was a wonderful night. Kids swam great. It was a great rivalry. We each split the meet, so everybody was a winner that night, and it was wonderful. And we appreciate the opportunity to be able to do that. And it's going to be bigger and better next year. All you senior types, just come up from college and join us. So that's all I have.
Coach Hamilton, did you have anything you wanted to share? I just wanted to give you an opportunity.
Well, I was glad to be able to, this was actually my second breast cancer awareness meet. I came here before, back in the day as a soccer coach actually. We had a Crystal River Citrus soccer meet to raise money for breast cancer awareness. But I have to say the swim team raised more money, so I was very glad to see just such an outpouring of support. And plus the whole theme of the meet was so just so full of camaraderie, and I know the swimmers, they know each other just from the years and everything, so it's just really a great meet overall. I was glad to be part of it.
Thank you. I'm going to bring the superintendent down because before we have the national anthem, I want to just get a picture because we don't get coaches. Would you come in?
Yeah, where do you want us?
Hey, you go right, yeah, you guys go in the middle there. Just go down there. And yeah, board members, if you stand up, everybody.
Hey, don't move because I'm the sub.
The other way, Scott.
And if you would just stand there, I want to introduce again Miss Ashlyn Honeycutt. Miss Ashlyn, if you would come here. Miss Ashlyn, we don't always in swimming get an opportunity to have an actual live person sing. So Miss Ashlyn is going to be performing today the national anthem for us. And then she's also going to be doing it at our district meet, which will be October 26th at the YMCA. So if you would all please stand.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
In the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, guys. I know some of you are getting up back to practice, so you are welcome to head out. Thank you. Three for Lecanto, and for one for each of the coaches and the AD. And that's yours.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, hey, it's me. It's okay.
Thank you, board members, for indulging me in that. Ms. Counts has coached for a number of years in swimming, and Miss, you would appreciate that when Miss Honeycutt sang the national anthem, Captain literally pulled her and gave her, a hug and just about was in tears from. So I'm very appreciative of that. Yes, ma'am. The blonde one, yes. She's a little taller. She's actually taller than me now.
I still told Tom when I saw Genevieve in the audience, I said, I still remember when she was about 3 feet tall, and Tom always had to put her cap on because she couldn't put it on by herself, so he always put her cap on every day at practice.
We appreciate it. We have sports teams all over this county that have these types of events, and I think they're just great ways of all coming together. With that, we will go ahead and move on to adoption of the agenda.
I'll move that we adopt the agenda as recommended by the superintendent.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Gott, a second by Ms. Bryant to adopt the agenda. Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. And just a reminder, today we will not be online voting. We'll be go ahead and doing our typical votes. And citizens' comments on any item on the agenda. Any item, I was going to say, so we'll have a second opportunity. We have a green card for a second opportunity at the 5:15 time slot. With that, superintendents, we'll go ahead and move on to Spotlight Duke. Shonda and Mr. King. Oh, no, I'm sorry.
Not yet.
John, come forward, please. That way we can talk about it.
This year, Duke Energy was recognized as the 2019 Commissioner's Business Recognition Award for Citrus County. Through the Citrus County Education Foundation, I'm going to read this because they do so much, I don't want to forget anything that they've done. Duke Energy has provided funding for a multitude of programs, as well as countless volunteer hours through our community events. In the 2018-19 school year, Duke committed $42,500 in grant funding, but more importantly, Duke employees not only read to our pre-K and kindergarten students, they hosted our 5th graders on a hands-on field trip, as well as served as judges in our regional science fair, and have become a part of our Men Building Men program. Serving at our community events, Duke Energy's commitment to positively impacting students and education is priceless. They are a cornerstone of creating a community of care for all students in the Citrus County School District. On behalf of myself and our entire school district and school board members, we thank you for everything you do for our kids.
Don't worry about the sponsor picture, it'll be upside down. Turn to the side like a girl. Thank you all.
Good afternoon, school board members. My name is Dorothy Pernew, and I am the Government and Community Relations Manager for Duke Energy here in Citrus County. It's our pleasure today to be here. Thank you very much for acknowledging us with a community award. You know, Duke Energy is really committed, of course, to Citrus County and to its students. And but overall, Duke actually has education in its heart throughout its entire organization. This year, Duke as a company awarded $3.2 million to education programs in 6 states across 131 different organizations. And here in Citrus County, in addition to the $42,005 that we give to the Citrus County School Board, we also supported a variety of other educational initiatives that were outside of the Education Foundation. We supported that to the tune of a total of $78,000. Citrus Memorial Health Foundation for the Summer Camp Readers Program for Summer Slide. We also supported In-Water Research Group with traveling turtle trunks to teach students about this really rare species of turtle that is found off of Citrus County's waters, the Kemp Ridley. And so students this year will be learning about that. In addition, I know you're very familiar with the Save Crystal River grant that we do with Crystal River Primary School, and that initiative has been able to be expanded outside of Crystal River Primary and is now through traveling trunks in the rest of Citrus County school systems. So we're really proud to be able to do that. This grant, that 42.5 that we support, of course provides for many grants for your teachers. It also provides 5th and 8th grade field trips for students to learn and explore energy and engineering topics at the Christopher Energy Complex, and as well supports the first library program for pre-K and kindergarten students for learning and reading. As I stated, you know, education is really integral to everything, of course, that you do, but we know that education is truly the foundation for everything that we need as an organization in the future. And it's always our pleasure to support the Citrus County school system each year with our grant for 42.5. Sean?
I wanted to say something.
Go right ahead, Mr.
So, Ms. Perdue, thank you for your work in informing us and keeping us in the loop with as a board. I know you're in charge of government relations, so I know from the decommissioning to things like the natural gas plant was out there, you've always kept us involved in that process and in the knowledge. So I just want to thank you too for that information.
My pleasure. That's, you know, that's all part of what I do each day, and I know that, you know, you're part of Citrus County's leadership, and it's important that you know each step of the way what's going on in your backyard with our organization. So it's my pleasure to do that. Thank you.
Yes, so again this year, we are very grateful for $42,500 towards the Education Foundation for district.
Sean, did you mind letting us just go a little out of order? Okay. And before, just in case Mr. King leaves us, I wanted to thank him. He was the facilitator this weekend for Citrus 2030 Career and Technical Education. He did a fabulous job. We are very grateful for his service. And I believe he is the men leading the Crystal River, is it men leading? Men building, and we just appreciate it. He is former Navy, sorry Mr. Mullen, and we are so appreciative of your leadership.
And I just want to add to that, I don't care what event we go to, you're there.
Yes.
So, and Dorothy, you are too, so we appreciate your support. We love your money, but we really appreciate your support and your attendance at all these events. To Sean and them, just in the school district, we appreciate your volunteering. Thank you.
We're going to just go quickly out of order because a very special gentleman walked in the room, and I'm going to come down as the superintendent starts talking. But Representative Ralph Mazzullo, it's somewhat unusual maybe for the superintendent's award to be given to a political legislator in education, but this is so well deserved. And with that, I'm going to ask if you would come forward, and the superintendent's going to go ahead and start.
First of all, I asked staff to make me a few notes so I could present this today, and they gave me 1, 2, 3, 4 pages, and I said, not going to do that. I just want to say to Representative Masulo, thank you for everything you did for us in the session. Career and technical education was a huge push. It was successful coming through the session. You found a bill, sponsored the bill, created the bill, and our kids are certainly going to benefit from what you did for that piece. Project Shine, that's a big program that we have in our elementary world, where we have now been able to put a teacher, a behavior specialist, teacher, TOSA, in every elementary school to help us with the discipline of our students, because I will tell you, I have met with, I serve on a committee appointed by the governor, and they are so anti-Baker Act, and every time I talk about that, they glare at me. So I will now be able to glare back at them and tell them that because of you, we have now got a program in place that should help us see less and less Baker Acts in our elementary world. So thank you for that. Safety and security, you helped support and secure $180 million for safety and security this year. We thank you for that because of all the mandates coming down. We appreciate, of course, like I've said before, the dollars, but we just appreciate the support, and you know how important that is for us. Teacher recruitment, you were a big part of allowing our teachers to take 3 years to pass the test. And I will say this, that I was at a superintendent's meeting the other day, and the speaker told us that more individuals pass the bar exam than our teachers do passing the teacher test. So that says a lot about our teacher test. But with that being said, we've now given them a little more flexibility to pass the test in 3 years. We just want to say thank you. Wow, you're amazing, you're awesome. We just appreciate you listening. You call us. I do pray for you because I know have Thomas's texts go back and forth to you. And how many? You probably have a separate cell phone for that one. But we appreciate you being there for us. And you speak highly of the school district, but we can't say enough nice words on how much we appreciate what you've done for the kids in Citrus County and for all the millions of students in the state of Florida. So thank you.
Well, I really appreciate this board, but I'll be honest with you, this board belongs to you all, a good bit of you, because it's your hard work and a lot of the insight that you've given to the legislature, and you always come up every year and you talk to us, and it makes a big difference. Not just to me, but it makes a difference to a lot of the other representatives and the senators that need to hear what the school districts need. And I'm very grateful for this, and I'm grateful for all of you, and I can tell you, education is going to be really big on this year's agenda. We're going to try to put more money into professional development for the teachers we have. As you know, and as you probably read yesterday, we're going to try to put more money into the new teachers we recruit. I'm hoping we can change the best and brightest so it makes a little bit more sense. And basically that rewards our good teachers. And we're going to continue, as you know, to push for more professional, I'll call it professional education in our schools, but some people will call it career and technical education, because I think those jobs are professional jobs, and a lot of our students, particularly in counties like Citrus, will have jobs ready for them when they get out of school. So thank you again very much, and I look forward to working with you all, hopefully in the future, this coming year, and maybe, God willing, in the next term.
Thank you.
Thank you again. Thank you.
I want to share Dr. Mazzullo. Truly, he and his staff are very receptive to communicating and working with us. Recently, we get a lot of times questions from our leaders and from our teachers that say, why are they doing this? And so Representative Mazzullo actually took the time to sit down with not just one or two, but an entire floor of our leaders. And we don't have many here that can be here at one time. So he sat down, went through all of their questions, their concerns, and if you just wanted to understand how they felt when they left, the answer was, can we do this again? This was really good. He's listening to us. He gets it. And that is so grateful, and we are so appreciative to you. So thank you. Best of luck this session, and if there's anything you need, you know how to get a hold of us. Thank you. Now, Ms. Shonda.
Good afternoon. It is an honor and a privilege to be here today before you, serving as the director of the Education Foundation. In front of you, you have an impact statement from the 2018-19 school year that talks about the work of the foundation and contributions to the Citrus County School District through the work we are doing. Before we jump into that, while we have Duke Energy here, and I know Mrs. Himmel talked a little bit about that, and Mr. Kennedy jumped in with some information too, but we want to highlight Mr. Ted King one more time. So if Teddy could come up front, please. I'm sorry, Teddy. So many of you heard some of the things that Mr. King does throughout the community as far as our Men Building Men program, our fifth grade field trips, but what he also does is mentor students on the side in a variety of schools. Chris River High School being the Men Building Men program. He has 3 young teenage daughters who are all very, very much incredible young ladies, but he spends a lot of time working with students across the whole county. When we talk about our impact for 2018-19, Teddy's name comes up with everything that we talk about. Like Mrs. Himmel said, whatever the event is, whatever we're doing with the foundation, he's absolutely there. When we talk about funding, for those of you that have been to Foundation Fest, that is one of our signature events, Teddy came up with this idea a couple of years ago to start a little smack talk. And in doing that, that event went from raising around $10,000 that event to clearing more than $40,000 a year. And that is to his direct contribution of bringing the community together for a good cause for the work that we do. So one more time, we'd like to recognize him and make Ted King the 2018-19 for our previous school year Impact Person of the Year for the Citrus County Education Foundation. Okay, so back to our impact statement and the work that we're doing. Again, Dorothy, thank you so much. Thank you to Duke Energy for all that you do for the foundation and the district. When you take a look at the impact statement, we take a look of a variety of programs that we have been doing for a number of years with the Education Foundation, but this year was a bit different. This was our largest contribution year back to programming in the district. We are proud to say that through all of our efforts and 22 of the most incredible, generous board members who work tirelessly to support our mission, our new associate director, we were able to impact the district with over $800,000. So that is including including all of our events, our programs and in-kind donations, and the opening of our free teacher store. Some of the highlights from the past year, we launched a grant for fine arts programs here in Citrus County for our teachers. Our Men Building Men program launched with 15 male mentors that work in our high schools with all of our young men. We are happy to report that all seniors who were looked at and who were chosen by the guidance departments and the administration of the high schools were chosen for Men Building Men because they are at risk for not graduating. We want to report to you that we have 100% success rate with those seniors who all walked across the stage last year. We also have the Pirate Cove, Panther Place, and Eye of the Storm resource rooms that are giving out daily necessities for basic needs in all of our high schools. 25,000 books at this point have been given out through our early literacy program. 48 teachers and school-related employees were honored at the Galaxy of Stars with Heather Renfro, placing in the top 5 of the state for Florida. All 1,300 fifth grade students participating in our engineering hands-on field trips with Duke Energy. And we are honored to say that we have hosted 40 plus Education Foundation leaders from across the state of Florida at our winter conference this past year, so showcasing Citrus County and the success of a partnership between the school district and the foundation. So that kind of just gives you an idea of what our last year was like. So on to this year. What are we doing in 1920? So first of all, we have an office. We have an office suite that is super sweet. So we want to say a huge thank you to WTC for hosting us there. We also relocated our free teacher store, which tripled in size. If you haven't had a chance to be there, please come out. Attached to that impact statement is a review of what that teacher store is giving out per school. Right now we have 244 transactions that have taken place, and we have given out $37,774.25 in teacher supplies. To kind of give you an idea where we were, last year we gave out $40,000 in a year. So in our first month open, we've almost hit the goal of the entire year last year. We do have a college intern who is running that store for us, who's doing a phenomenal job. We're very grateful to have her. And you can see that the store is definitely being utilized and is growing each month. This year, we met over the summer, created a strategic plan allowing the Education Foundation to align our mission with that of the Citrus County School District. We aligned our mini grants this year and fundraising efforts with the school improvement plans and the district strategic plans. Having that ability, we've been able to really get with some administrators, take a look at some of the programs or some of the sources they would like the foundation to fund. So we've really been able to realign what our work is and what we're doing to meet the needs of the individual schools. Community collaboration with an emphasis on CTE and health and wellness with a social emotional learning background as well. And continuing our Men Building Men program, it's growing each month. And in January, we will be launching our Women Building Women program. Talk a little bit about what's coming up, what's around the corner. On 11/9, we are hosting the Dragon Boat Festival. For those of you who haven't heard, the Dragon Boat Festival of Lake Hernando in Citrus County has now been deemed the largest in the Southeast. We are an international qualifier for France. So we have, yes, we have people traveling here from 5 different states, 2 countries. We have the Department of Tourism working with us, planning this event. We expect more than 5,000 visitors into our county for that weekend. We've partnered with the vets. The veterans are really helping us to make this a huge program, but also celebrating the veterans of Citrus County and allowing us to really work together for all of our visitors here. We're very excited about this event. Please, if you don't have a boat, put a boat in. Right now, we're looking at about 64 teams. We anticipate right around 90 with some of our final teams signing up. So that's going to be a great day, a great weekend, so we hope you can join us there. On November 22nd, Foundation Fest has a new location, a new date. This is the Friday before Thanksgiving break, and we are having Foundation Fest this year at the Plantation. So attached in your packet is your VIP ticket that gets you into Foundation Fest, and on the back of that ticket is all of the events that we have for the Education Foundation for the remaining of the school year, so you can try to come out and support those if you can. We are absolutely excited to announce one more event happening this year that is not on your ticket, but on December 13th, the CCEF Community Breakfast will be happening. We are honoring our volunteers, community partners, and leaders for their unwavering support of CCEF with an emphasis on how together we are impacting the Citrus County School District. So we ask if you could clear your calendar, I know it's December, but we'd love for you to join us for breakfast at the plantation on December 13th. And again, our continued goal of the Education Foundation is to impact through funding and direct district programming. How we can do that is through all of these grants and fundraising events. And that's all I have. So I just kind of wanted to touch base with you and give you an update of last year and where we're headed for this year.
Board members?
You're busy.
We're busy. We're definitely busy.
For our kids. I just want to thank Shonda too, because, you know, you hear these numbers, 91,000, 40,000, 300,000, 42,000. And I know that she goes out in the community and meets with people in large corporations. She's talked to Coca-Cola, she's in the Publix and these many other large organizations. Now, they may give her money to get rid of her because, as you can tell, her excitement, she could wear them out. But Shonda has a tendency to never say no, and she has certainly taken the foundation a step higher. So, on behalf of the school district, we thank you for what you do.
Thank you.
I've got a quick question.
Yes,
Son, I've got a quick question, and we really appreciate all the work that you do in the community raising money. So,
sure.
You know, I'm always interested in the license plate program.
Yes.
Of course, I have a education license plate that costs me $20 more, but all that money comes to the foundation.
Thank you, Mr. Dodd, for bringing that up. Yes.
And so I was just kind of curious. I mean, that would be a great campaign for us to start pushing that. You know, as we constantly battle the issues over improving our schools and funding issues that we face. I mean, it'd be good for the community to see support for education. So,
yes.
How is that working?
It is working. If you look on the back of the impact statement, the License for Learning program that's listed there, last year we brought in just about 2,500. So how that works is when you go in and ask for a license plate for education now, it's a $25 tag. $20 of that $25 comes directly to the Education Foundation. So they're only keeping 5 for specialty tags on this particular one. We are launching it through social media, working with our DMV, of course. But you are right, that is definitely a reoccurring income that would definitely make a big impact. So we would love any support in sharing that. Thank you for bringing it up. And it's something across the state where we're seeing a huge influx of funding coming into the school districts.
And I think there's a new plate option.
There is a new plate. It's no longer an apple. It is, and I'm sorry I don't have one with me, it is a group of children reading under a palm tree with some books in their hands, and across the center says educate, instead of yes, you've got it, thank you. It is, different tag design, same great cause for education, and $20 of each one does come back to the foundation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Shonda. Okay, we will move on to approve the consent agenda.
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Powers, second by Ms. Counts to approve the consent agenda. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 5-0. Recognition of funds. Donations, I'm sorry.
Approve the $500 donation to Lecanto High School from Title USA LLC. Approved the $600 donation to Lecanto Middle School from Coastal Engineering Associates, and approved the $35,017 donation to Citrus County School Board's high and middle schools participating in the Fellowship of Christian Athletes program from the U.S. Family Foundation, Inc. Oops. That's all we have today.
Thank you very much. And we thank all of our community partners for all of your efforts. And we are moving on to the agreement between Citrus County School Board and Youth and Family Alternatives.
Actually,
Is that?
no, sorry, I didn't interrupt you, but if you notice, those are on a consent agenda.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So we'll scroll down to, I believe it's 16.
We're still getting used to the new system, so I apologize. And Miss Amy Crowd, the calendar.
Good afternoon. We have 3 calendars that we are requesting for you to approve as options for our school personnel to vote upon. Once they vote, we will of course collect all those votes, including all of our SAC committees. We'll also do 1 vote per SAC committee, and we will tally them, and then in December, we will then come back to you with the winning calendar. However, before that, we always want, of course, your approval of the 3 options. Our team did meet. Ms. Counts served on that committee as well. It was a great committee. We had wonderful representation across the board from all the different schools, different levels, different departments, with parents there as well. So it was a good group of people that really had a tough job to do. The 3 different calendars, as you can see when you got your packets, we do of course break it down what the 3 calendars are, but we make 1 sheet that has the major differences between them. So you can have that 1 pager, and we provide this also to the schools so that it helps them as well when they're trying to decide, okay, well, what is the difference between the 3 before they vote? And what you can see is that the major pieces here are the first day of school being that the students would start either Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday. Part of our committee, when we meet, is we hear from the different schools. We have representatives from the different levels and from different schools, and we ask them, including the parents, what are some of the things that they are requesting? What are some of the, the feedback from everyone? And one of the big things was, I would maybe almost say like half, we had a lot of elementary that wanted to start on a Monday, because of the step-by-step program and so forth. But then you had a lot of the secondary and transportation saying they would prefer to start midweek, sometime during the week. So there was a mix of that. So of course we put that up on the poster as one of the things. So as you can see, when they start making these calendar options, they are to take those, to try to take those into consideration as much as possible. So as you can see here, you've got, calendar number 1 that would be starting on that Wednesday, calendar number 2 would be starting on that Monday, and calendar number 3 would start on that Tuesday, which would be that August 11th. But all of them starting August 10th or after to follow statute as well. All of them, the teachers do start on the same date of August 3rd, so that isn't changed. The last day of school is something that is a little different, especially when you look at calendar number 3. If you notice calendar number 3, they have May 28th being the last day for teachers, same last day as students, which is something very different. And I will tell you that how that came to be is that group saw, again, from feedback, there was a lot of people with feedback saying that they did not want to return after Memorial Day. So this would be the only way that that would happen as an option, would be is that if they then ended the same day as the students, due to testing, remember, we have to have that 4 week after May 1st for testing. So May 28th would be the last day. Now they are half days, so with that calendar number 3, the last day for teachers would be the same as students. However, they would have 2 half days there, I guess, to do the things that calendar number 1 and 2 are doing after Memorial Day. Another difference there you can see is the total of professional development and work days, or work hours, I guess you can say. PD, one of the major requirements with professional development is that we have 30 hours of professional development is the minimum required. And for the past few years, our conference day, which is in the first 9 weeks, are for elementary and middle schools. And we have counted that as part of our professional development hours, even though we know that our elementary and middle, most of the time, cannot normally utilize that for that purpose, but our high schools do. So as you can see in calendar number 1, they are using that conference day as part of the professional development, where if you notice in calendar 2 and 3, they actually are saying, we're not going to count that conference day as professional development, this is going to be beyond that. That is why you see 36 hours for that professional development, because they're not counting that. So they are giving that elementary and middle, and that was something we heard from elementary and middle, saying they really didn't like using that professional development, using that day as that, because it cut back on their professional development opportunities. I would probably say one of the biggest other differences is regarding spring break. If you recall, when we came to you last month for that feedback, one of the major things that unfortunately we did not have is when Fair Week is going to be for that, because we are still waiting to hear from the from Hal Porter and the Fair Committee, because they are at the mercy of the vendor, and they do it by 3-year contracts. So because of that, we have not gotten the dates yet for this 2021 year. So with that said, if you recall when we were here, we basically removed that non-negotiable for the committee that said that spring break and the fair were to be the same week. And because we didn't know when that week was, we did remove that from the requirements. I did, however, share with the committee when they were creating these calendars that we did have a maybe week, like that the fair, the PAL says he's estimating that it possibly will be the week of March 22nd. And that normally at least that Friday was a very important Friday because normally that is student day. So as you can see, what they did here is calendar number 1 actually has their spring break during that possible fair week of March 22nd, March 26th, where calendar 2 and 3 do not. One of them has, the calendar number 2 actually has spring break the week after that possible fair week, and that week also includes Good Friday. So you've got that day that would have been off anyway is included in that spring break, so they're still off. And then, of course, the calendar number 3 is choosing spring break the week before that possible fair week. And to take into consideration that Friday, that if the fair is on, say, March 22nd, you'll notice on calendar 3 and calendar 2, they actually have that Friday, March 26th, a half day for students for the intention, if it happens to be fair week, that the students will at least have that extra time to go to the fair if that is the case. But we did hear from some that, that they said, well, what do we want to do with this piece? And they basically all just went with a different week during that month of March and into April even with the spring break, because it did not necessarily correlate with the fair, being that we don't know what it is.
Did they say when they were going to make their decision?
He said by December. And in fact, his actual words might have been possibly by December. Again, they want, of course, they want to work with us. Hal does, of course he does. And he's at the mercy, he said, of the vendor. Like, they make that up. They, set those dates statewide, and we kind of have to go with what they go by. And we were under the same issue. We had the same issue a few years ago, actually probably 3 years ago, because they do it in 3-year increments, where they gave us that estimated date. We set it up along that, and if you recall, it actually wasn't that estimated date that it ended up being, and we had the fair week not aligned with spring break. It was a more problem then because it was testing. Now we don't have an issue with the testing included in that, because testing is around that. Yes?
Ms. Stroud, either you or maybe Ms. Counts, was there any objection, or was it specifically designed, these dates of spring break, that they didn't want to have it during the fair week? I mean, was somebody like, our calendar is purposefully that we don't want to have it during the fair week? And my thinking is if we then had the opportunity to insert it during the fair week, like if somebody, they said, oh, we like calendar 3. Calendar 3 is the one we want. But we decided we wanted to insert the other way. Was there any thoughts to that, where people like, no, we want it?
It was brought up that there was some, I definitely don't think it's the majority, but it was brought up, and Ms. Counts, of course, joined me with this, is that there was, especially your agricultural groups, those clubs, not necessarily liking it aligned with the spring break, because then they don't have a spring break. And that was a piece of it. However, we always went back to what is best for students, and is that, but that was brought up, that some do not like it being the same week. But again, I would not say it was the majority, and I don't know if that was purposeful for that.
And may I chime in
Yes.
with that one? And we've recognized those groups, and if they've had to go work the spring break for the fair, we have allowed them to flex their days so that they can go be with students.
And like I said, it's a very small
worked
number.
around some, and we've paid them for it too. Okay.
Which is,
And I know in our group, we discussed it extensively, but I went to a couple of the ag teachers, and I'll tell you, what devoted teachers and what devoted kids, it really, although last year I thought it was a big problem, and then afterwards, they're going to take care of the animals, and they're going to go to the fair, and nothing's going to stop them whether they got a spring break or not. So we tried to give everybody a choice where we can still get the calendar out on a timely basis, what people are used to, and regardless of what the vendor does with the fair dates, it's gonna work. I don't care whether they pick 1, 2, or 3, because the kids are gonna still take care of their animals, and they're gonna do their thing at the fair, whether they're on spring break or not.
We can, if it helps, Mr. Kennedy, when we do the ballots, we can possibly even add to the bottom of the ballot when they vote, calendar 1, calendar 2, calendar 3, at the bottom, even ask the question, you know, the importance to that voter of the fair week matching spring break, and getting that yes or no, how important it is to them, and so that when we do collect the votes with whatever calendar ends up winning, we can then be able to at least provide that data to you of, you know, 90% of them agreed that they won them during that same week, so that when the board says, okay, we're gonna go with calendar number 2, however, the only difference is gonna be, we're gonna make spring break and the fair align, because we will have the date possibly by then, you know, we could then use that data from the ballots that we receive to help us with that, if that helps.
Board members, it's your discretion on that.
Sounds like a lot of work for somebody.
And I'm okay with not adding it. So,
Because as you said, there are just a few people that.
Well, it's your ag groups, I mean, and your ag teachers mainly. I mean, of course, the students, like we said, are going to be going no matter what and doing their piece, but it was more of like the teachers not really having that spring break, I guess, on top of their, on top of Fair Week, because they're working it.
And then the classroom teachers have makeup work if the kids are gone.
Correct. Oh, yes, and they're missing instruction.
Yeah, so, but we just felt getting the calendars out on the same timely basis was more important than answering that one question, because people are trying to make plans.
I think that was smart.
Well, it has been the, kind of the opinion of the board in the past that we were gonna try to align with Fair Week, but this is out of our control if they are not able to tell us, because that was a non-negotiable.
And it's gonna happen every 3 years. we
Right.
found out,
For the next 3 years, it can remain a non-negotiable after this year, because we'll have the dates.
And that's why I say, just if that question gets answered when we get all the calendars back, that's gonna probably be something we're gonna have to at least decide what we wanna do with. Because it could be inserted back in, that if we know, oh yeah, it is March 22nd, but they all like calendar 3, then that becomes, do we just still go with calendar 3's spring break? Or do we, you know, look at spring break? It's just something I think we need to be aware that we may be, you know, at least contemplating. We may still sit there and say, no, you know what, that's the way it is. But
Although I just, as a classroom teacher and now on the calendar committee, once we put this calendar out, and I still remember one year, remember the year we kept them in school out until June, and they didn't come. And then we had hurricane days, one Thanksgiving week on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, the only people in the school were the teachers. Because the kids already had plans, so once we give them the calendar, I think it has to be that calendar,
Well,
they'll make plans.
yeah, but when the staff votes on it, it's still not an approved calendar. So I would hope that they wouldn't be making plans yet.
No, I mean, when.
Oh, no, once it's done, then it's adopted. I mean, it's,
If we waited on the fair to tell us the dates.
no, I just meant if, okay, the votes came back and it's on our agenda.
We
that
could
becomes-
possibly, at the bottom of the 3 options, before they go out, add the caveat of spring break may change due to fair if we receive those dates. So that way when they're voting, say they're voting on number 2 or voting on number 3, they at least have that caveat down there knowing that that piece might change even with their vote. I don't know if that would make a difference.
Do you have any thoughts?
Well,
Mark?
it would leave it open as we discuss it. I mean, when we find out when the fair is gonna be. You know, I'm interested on calendar 3 on that Tuesday start. That seems a little bit odd to me. Can you tell me a little bit more about why they want us, why a Tuesday? The first day we could start is August 10th by law,
Correct.
right?
Right.
And so, you know, and don't get me wrong, I love having options. So thank you for the calendar.
Making them different.
And making these options, but what's the underlying discussion on it starting on a Tuesday?
Well, it was starting just midweek, and that was something that they kept saying. Nobody really said that they wanted it on a Wednesday. They just liked the idea of that first week of school being a shorter week for students, for especially your transportation and secondary, saying they would work out tweaks with scheduling, they work out their transportation routes and things like that, so that way the following week then they have that time to do that. Now, the Tuesday versus a Wednesday, that part also that is helpful when it comes to how many days they can get in instruction before Christmas break. Because remember, we tried to get, because we want semester 1, that was a non-negotiable, to end before Christmas break. And in order to do that, you of course, you want your number of days of instruction to be as similar to semester 2 as possible. So one of those things was by having that flexibility of that extra day there, they were able to incorporate another day in their pre-planning days, or versus the Wednesday one. They were also able to have Christmas break when that one starts. It's a little bit different than the other two. You know what I'm saying? So that's where they were saying that they liked that idea of having that extra day before Christmas break, and in order to do that, you'd have to then start Tuesday instead of Wednesday, making it up somewhere else. So, and it's very difficult that first semester because you're so limited on August 10th being when you have to start, and we're saying we need to finish semester 1 before Christmas. So where the semester 2, they've got a little bit more flexibility when they return back in January, and so forth. So that's where that came to be, and I think also for the variety as well, like you said.
And it was also the teacher's request for the number of pre-planning days. That gave them
Correct.
one more day.
For that pre-planning piece.
Anything else you need from us?
Just asking for the approval of the 3 options, and if you would like me to put that caveat at the bottom of that the spring break may change due to, fair week notification.
Okay. I just need a motion.
All right, I'll make a motion that we approve the 3 options for the calendar with the caveat that fair week could change.
Let me just get a second and then I'll. Second. A motion by Mr. Dodd, a second by Ms. Powers to approve the calendars, the 3 calendars presented, as well as to add the 1 caveat at the end, and Ms. Counts, go ahead.
Does that motion then tell the teachers and the parents that we will change the calendar once we get the spring break date?
I was putting the word
No.
may. I was gonna put the word may, like that may change due to notification.
It'll still come back before you to have that conversation.
Yeah, and then we have to really make a timely decision on if we change it, because I know how important these calendars are to the families. I mean, they make plans months
Our
out.
plans to have it done by December.
December 10th, I believe, is when I come
No
back.
matter what the decision is, because
Right.
hopefully we'll
Right.
have a decision.
December 10th, you'll have a.
Either on December 10th, we'll have that information, or we're gonna make our decision with the information we have. So it shouldn't be hanging out there. Ms. Crowell won't let it.
Thank you very much.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 5-0. Yes, thank you. Mr. Bradshaw wonderfully reminded me, we're gonna go ahead and recess our regular school board meeting, and we're gonna open up our public hearing. And our first is to request and approve adoption of policy 4.60, district and statewide assessment programs. Good afternoon, Mr. Dixon.
Good afternoon. I wouldn't expect the policies to come up before the other items, so. The first request is a request to adopt revisions to 4.60. This matter was discussed by the Policy and Forms Committee on June 20th and presented to the school board in workshop on July 30th. The revision to this policy is to Section 3 regarding requirements for the Scholar Diploma designation. The policy revision is required due to changes in Florida statute.
Anyone wishing to come forward to speak regarding policy 4.60, adoption of revisions? Anyone in the public wishing to come forward to speak on policy 4.60? Last call. I just need a motion.
Move to approve the revisions to policy 4.60, district and statewide assessment program.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Bryant, second by Ms. Counts, to approve the adoption revisions of policies 4.60, district and statewide assessment programs. Any questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 5-0.
The next policy a request is to approve and adopt revisions to policy 3.40, safe and secure schools. This matter was presented at the July 20th school board workshop. The policy is a complete rewrite from Mr. Bradshaw with additional revisions by various departments. The revisions were required due to changes in Florida statute. Some additional necessary revisions will be presented at future school board workshop to begin the process. However, it was necessary to move forward with these revisions that were already in the process. Additional changes will be presented to the Policy and Forms Committee on October 17th, so you'll see another change to this one coming forward.
Thank you. Anyone wishing to come forward to talk on policy 3.40, safe and secure schools? Anyone wishing to come forward? Last call for anyone coming forward on policy 3.40, safe and secure schools. With that, I need a motion.
I have one comment. When we looked at this as a board, in the type of emergency, with the emergency response agency type of emergency, we suggested that we add criminal acts, emergencies including but not limited to. And I know, understand it says but not limited to, but is there a reason that we didn't include criminal acts with the fires, natural disasters, and active shooter? Is it not necessary? It might be redundant or something.
Can you refer me to which section
Page
this?
2 of 9. It's in section 2, emergency response. And we had suggested when we discussed it earlier to adding types of emergency, adding in the list criminal acts.
Oh, that's right. I'm missing. We can't change it now.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
What I can do, if you can send me an email on that, I'll put it in the next update, because like I said, we've got another one that's coming, and we'll insert that into the.
Okay. All the other discussions were in there. Okay.
If you can send me that tomorrow.
I will do that.
Okay.
Right.
Which part of the policy then?
It's section 2, and it's the types of emergency on page 2. All the other ones.
Motion?
Yes.
Okay, I move to approve and adopt the revisions to policy 3.40, safe and secure schools. Safe and secure.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Powers, second by Mr. Don, to approve and adopt revisions to policy 3.40, safe and secure schools. Any more questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 5-0.
The next request is to approve and adopt revisions to policy 4.70, home education. This matter was discussed by the Policy and Forms Committee on June 20th and presented at the school board workshop on July 30th. The policy is a complete rewrite of the old policy based on recommended changes from District Student Services to clarify the definition and requirements for home education. The previous language in the policy was just referred to Florida statute, so this just puts everything in the policy.
Anyone wishing to come forward to speak about approval of adoption of revisions to policy 4.70, home education programs? Anyone wishing to come forward? Last call on home education programs feedback. I just need a motion.
I move that we approve revision 4.70, home education program.
Second.
Have a motion by Ms. Counts, second by Ms. Bryant, to approve and adopt revisions to policy 4.70, home education programs. Any questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 5-0. Last policy.
The final policy is to approve and adopt the revisions to 5.09, requirements for original entry. This matter was discussed by the Policy and Forms Committee in June and presented to the board at workshop in July. The policy was previously revised in April of 2019. There were additional revisions that were discussed by the board members which required revisions to be made after April 2019. The provisions basically include the documentation of health exam and immunization prior to school attendance. There is a 30-day grace period for homeless students and exceptions as are provided by Florida statutes.
Anyone wishing to come forward to speak regarding policy 5.09, requirements for original entry? Anyone wishing to come forward to talk on policy requirements for original entry? Last call. Just need a motion.
Move approval of policy 5.09, requirements for original entry.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Counts, second by Ms. Powers to approve and adopt revisions to policy 5.09, requirements for original entry. Any questions or comments?
I do have a question. When something comes out that is recommended, a shop that is recommended that you get or you can't go to school, is that sort of added into the thinking or no? What is it now, hepatitis A or something you're supposed to go to the shop for? Is that added in or not?
I'm not really sure, ma'am. I just know that the required immunizations are included, but I don't know which immunizations are required.
Okay, could you check that and see?
Yes, I can send, I'll get.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 5-0. With that, I will go ahead and close out the public hearing, and I am going to reopen the regular school board meeting, and then try and remember where I am. Thank you. And we have introductions tonight, so I will have Miss Deborah Stanley.
Good afternoon, Superintendent Himmel, Assistant Superintendent Mullen, and school board members. It is my pleasure to come speak to you today about the exciting things that are happening in the Career and Technical Education Department here at Citrus County. There has been a renewed interest in career and technical education from Governor DeSantis and also from Representative Zullo from Tallahassee and also from a local level. First of all, what I'd like to show you is a video that it just so happens that Career Source got a grant from Duke Energy. So that's why he's agreed to stay. We're just going to pick the first one.
It's never too early to choose a profession, and the Citrus County School District offers a variety of programs to help students make smart career choices. Our programs are designed to educate, guide, and prepare students to enter the workforce as qualified candidates with superior confidence. Farming is a thriving industry in North Central Florida, providing a sound career choice for students interested in agriculture. These courses are designed to develop competencies in the agri-science industry, including prevention and treatment of livestock diseases, animal reproduction and identification, plant growth, plant fertilization, safe use of pesticides, tool and equipment maintenance, and employability skills. Upon completion of the first 3 levels in the Agri-Technology program, students are eligible to take the Certified Agriculture Technician Industry Certification exam. To learn more about our programs and how they can put you on a path for success, contact the Career and Technical Education Department of the Citrus County School District.
So as you can see, these are professional videos that were produced by a company that was hired by by Career Source, and that was a grant that was provided for them by Duke Energy. So I thought since our gentleman was here with us today, I wanted to acknowledge and thank him for that. Thank you very much.
Ms. Stanley, is there one for a multitude of the different tracks?
Yes, sir. We went to each high school and filmed over a period of 3 days and highlighted all the different career programs that we have in Citrus County.
Excellent. And did you do the voiceover?
Yes, sir, I did.
You did wonderful.
Thank you very much. So we will be posting them on our website, and Career Source will be posting them on their talent pipeline through Career Source of Citrus, Marion, Levy County. And we are going to also put them out on social media to advertise our courses. So first, the reason why I'm here for you today is I would like to introduce to you my new full-time TOSA for CTE. A TOSA, as you know, is a teacher on special assignment. His name is William Chamberlain. He comes to us from Hernando County. He has a master's degree in educational leadership. He is assisting in the 3 high schools and 4 middle schools with their career technical education programs, with an emphasis on improving our industry certifications, which helps us improve our school grades. He is also spearheading our textbook adoption for CTE, which is going on currently. Would you please stand, Mr. Chamberlain? Welcome to Citrus County. Dave Benthusen is also here. He assists with CTE as well, and he is shared with us with ESC. Mr. Benthusen, if you'd like to speak. We are currently involved in our textbook adoption process for CTE, and I've spoken to Ms. Androsky and discussed with her, and we have 72 courses that are currently offered in CTE throughout the district. So I think that's a testament. I have a little PowerPoint to show you that's going to highlight for you some of the highlights of House Bill 771. Printed copies, just in case. Copies. We'll pass them around to So the real reason why I'm here today was to give you some basic information about CTE and also to welcome our TOSA, William Chamberlain. So we're going to talk a little bit about House Bill 771 and implementation in relation to career and technical education. This year, the Florida legislature passed it and has a bill related to workforce education and several topics that relate to middle school and high school.
I'm just going to ask you to pause for just 1 minute because we have a 5:15 time certain. And if we just can, you just have a seat for 1 quick second. And I've got a green card. I know she would have. And Ms. Smith, I'm not going to read my speech since it's you, and you speak before us regularly. So, Victoria Smith, and on children from Crest riding bus.
Good evening, Ms. Hemmel, Assistant Superintendent, Chair, and the Board. Victoria Smith, Citrus County Education Association President. We know that Crest School always has special rules, and the staff that work there is incredible. But I'm bringing you a concern that I've been hearing from the staff, and I'm hoping that bringing it to this board that something will be done. You may be aware of it already, but as the president of the Citrus County Education Association, I would be remiss if I was not advocating for those. A student that is having a bad day at Crest, where administration and the behavior intervention team is trying to keep the student calm. The student at the end of the day is forced on the bus. When the student is on the bus, there are at times 2 aides, and there are at times only 1. However, the student is not calm, and at times worse. What happens is the aide has to protect the other students by putting themselves in harm's way. They get bit, scratched, beaten, to the point that they have bruises, and at times may have to follow up with a physician. They are frightened, especially when some of the students are the size of adults. The question being asked, why are they allowed to ride the bus when they are being disrupted throughout the day? Why couldn't a parent pick them up? If they have to ride the bus, why couldn't an administrator or a member of the discipline team that is trained in preventing and restraining the child ride the bus with them? So therefore the aide is not trying to protect the child and trying to restrain that child and hurting themselves in the process. That is the question to you, and I'm hoping that it gets looked at. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Stanley.
Yes, sir. What we're discussing today is the implementation of House Bill 771, and it has a lot of implications for career and technical education. In the elementary schools, they added some additional digital tools to the list. Now we have a possible 30 digital tools. Digital tool certificates are a statewide target of 75%, but they do not contribute to acceleration points for school grades. The middle school also had a requirement for a career and technical education course, and we are doing it in our, in our world history, middle school world history and career planning. It's 2109015, and to meet this requirement. So I'm just giving you an overview of what we're doing at the middle school to meet the requirement. For secondary, these are some of the other additional things that are discussed in the bill. District school boards are encouraged to adopt policies and procedures to celebrate academic and workforce achievement by students, such as declaring an academic scholarship signing day, and we've been in contact with the high schools to think about exactly how we're going to do this at each school, to recognize seniors who sign actual or ceremonial documents accepting scholarships and enrollment by a post-secondary institution, and also discussing a college and career decision day to encourage early preparation for college and to pursue advanced career pathways. So we are in discussion with both high school, all three high schools, to decide how exactly that's going to look and what we want to individualize it for the individual schools. We also, another section of this was a requirement for a high school diploma. It modifies the standard diploma to allow students to take a computer science course to substitute for math or science course, and we are doing so. It also talks about a career and technical education graduation pathway option that was included in the bill, as well as in addition to CAPE, funding requires an annual review of CTE programs by the Commissioner of Education to determine alignment with the employer demand post-secondary credentials and industry certifications. And we're supposed to renew it, we're supposed to look at it and to align our offerings to that, to make sure that we are staying current and always doing what's in the best interest of the students of Citrus County in our particular area. And like I said—
Ms. Stanley, on that point too, if you could go back to that slide.
Sure.
Because this was a great part of the conversation that we had, and what is exciting about that is it's going to involve stakeholders, if I recall, that are going to be brought together. This isn't, the school system just kind of coming up with this. The state really wants to align us, and I'm very grateful for this, because I think it's going to be a good opportunity for there to be some collaborative conversation. But it's a pretty in-depth, pretty significant report and study that's going to have to be done, and an evaluation of these. And so it's not, I don't think it's just checking a box off from what I can tell.
No, sir.
I wanted to just slow that down, just because I do think that's going to be a very wonderful, rich information. We've been doing it at different levels in Citrus County. You can see our programs have modified through the year to meet that, but I think it's a great thing that's going to be done. So I apologize.
And we are very fortunate. We have a wonderful relationship with our local Career Source board. They really have been extremely supportive of us, and I think we will continue to work forward with them. And they were the ones who spearheaded the videos that you saw that are going to be posted. As I said before, we are going through a textbook adoption now for CTE. It was actually not supposed to be this year, but they moved it up. So we're in the process of reviewing the curriculum and bringing teachers together and having them look at it, rank them, and then bringing the vendors in to actually do presentations. As we roll forward for this year, our really goal is to increase industry certification at all levels, the high school, and to begin offering them at the middle schools so that the students can earn the industry certification to help with our school grade and our acceleration. And as we move forward, our whole goal really is to ensure that we are providing opportunities for our students, not only those who are going to college, but those who are going on to a career. We just want to give them every opportunity to be successful in the workplace and with whatever they choose, college, career, or the military. We want to be able to support them, and that's our goal for Citrus County. We really look forward to what's happening. We're excited about expanding our CTE programs and increasing our industry certification at high school and middle schools. I have to tell you, the future's bright for Citrus County and our CTE department. We are looking forward to enhancing our current programs and expanding to include new ones. Does anyone have any questions? Yes, sir.
What do you envision this academic scholarship signing day? I mean, what's that's going to have to happen.
Yes, sir.
Right?
Yes, sir. I am hoping that we will do it the same way that they sign for when they sign a scholarship at a college. We would try to use the backdrop and try to bring family in and really highlight the amazing things that are going on with our schools, and really highlight those that are earning those admissions into colleges. And I think it could be tremendous.
So I know the athletic directors handle a lot of the athletic scholarships, right? And what you talk about with backdrops, but there's a whole lot of academic scholarships that our students receive. So I was just kind of curious, is this going to be on during 1 week, or are we going to try to do it on one day? Or are we going to try to, how?
I don't, maybe I'm wrong. I thought it was as much about them, if they got hired by a specific industry or business, or they've got a certification. I wasn't sure that it was necessarily scholarship focused, unless it was career directed on that scholarship, but maybe I'm wrong.
They declaring an academic scholarship signing day to recognize seniors who sign actual or ceremonial documents accepting scholarships or enrollment in a post-secondary institution. So if we can.
Then it is.
Right.
I think I apologize. So what I'm thinking of is it's one where they're signing for that college though, or that post-secondary institution, as opposed to saying the individual scholarships that may be awarded by, like we do on senior night. Because they're not necessarily signing for an institution on those where, if they got, your daughter got one to Liberty, and she's signing to get that, that scholarship, and they're giving her $25,000 to attend that school.
We're going to work with the high schools to see how exactly they would want to do it. I don't know whether you would include it in the nighttime presentation due to the fact that I don't know how long that would take, or whether we want to do it on a separate night, or whether we want to do it in an afternoon. We're working with the schools, since this is new, to see exactly how they would like for us to address this, but we definitely want to highlight those students and draw attention. Yes, ma'am.
It's really a work in progress, but the other thing they're trying to do in the high schools, they're trying to do is to accent students who go to college and maybe find, this is on a different note, but maybe take students who graduated last year, get them have a picture of them in their college shirt and put it around the schools. We're just trying to get the awareness out to our other kids about industry certification, college, and different steps that they can make. But it is a work in progress on how do we do that.
It's a lot more, number-wise.
Yeah, and it could be a lot of fun.
Absolutely. It might have to be held in the stadium. I mean, if you have that many students, what a wonderful thing to have to move it outside because you have so many students. I mean, the opportunities are limitless, and we really can go as much as they would like for us to. The first year, it may be we see how it progresses, and we might be able to get sponsors from the community. I can see this really being a tremendous way to celebrate our students.
It'd be a good way for people who have companies, say in Orlando, to come over here and see the people they could hire, see what's available.
Yes, ma'am.
See, some of this though seems like we've kind of done with our senior nights. We've really incorporated this as a big celebration of senior nights. So I don't know if that becomes part of that conversation too. But like I think the superintendent said, we've been I think highlighting this for years in Citrus County.
We're just thrilled to have the opportunity to highlight and showcase what we do here in Citrus County. Thank you.
favorite times of day.
I want to make sure I don't.
Yeah. Yeah, and 18 is our favorite time of the day. We're hiring people.
Teamwork.
Good afternoon, Ms. Swain.
Good afternoon. I ask the board's approval of the instructional and support recommendations as listed on the goldenrod.
I move to approve the instructional and support positions listed on the goldenrod.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Powers, second by Ms. Bryant, to approve the instructional and support recommendations as stated on the goldenrod. Any questions or comments or thoughts?
Did we put an SRO to this goldenrod?
No.
SROs are not our employees.
No, she's looking at the WTC instructor and she panicked.
Joe Flaherty.
Oh, he's gonna, no, I understand what you're asking. No, he's gonna do that as well.
Okay.
My understanding is he'll still be an SRO and then work in the evenings. He'll be part-time, nighttime.
All right,
Okay, I'm with you.
and I'll vote for it.
Anybody else? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 5-0.
Have a good evening.
Thank you. Request approval interlocal agreement. I was gonna say that's got to be Mr. Dixon.
Haven't seen this for a while, but
I wasn't even sure it was real.
this is a request to approve the new interlocal agreement for school board and local government coordination. The proposed interlocal agreement is required by Florida statutes to ensure that school board and the county are using consistent information to plan for schools and the infrastructure that's necessary to support the schools. The previous agreement was called Public Educational Facility Planning in Citrus County, and it was revoked by the BOCC in 2015 over concerns for having school concurrency in the county comprehensive plan pursuant to the provisions of that agreement. The public school facility element, which is part of the comprehensive plan, is no longer required, so the new agreement has been crafted to address the salient issues involving residential development timing and school facility planning. The necessary provisions for coordination are located in other parts of the comprehensive plan, and the new agreement now provides for sharing information and cooperation on projects that impact school facilities in terms of transportation and infrastructure capacity in addition to residential impacts. Staff feels that the new agreement is better because it is concise and the provisions are all in one document that is approved by both parties and that can easily be updated if necessary instead of several documents with overlapping provisions. In addition, the comprehensive plan only requires BOCC approval where the interlocal agreement requires the approval of the school board and for amending it. I'd be glad to answer any questions.
Well done.
Thank
I'm
you.
sorry.
Thanks
Mr.
to
God.
Mr. Bradshaw we've been back and forth for a few years with this.
Thank you, Les.
So, if I understand this right, it's the comprehensive plan, we really don't have much to say, but we got a lot to say with this MOU, right? I mean, this work that's gone into this will allow us, allows us to, and so, you know, I appreciate, you know, the staff, I appreciate the work that's been done here, and that, I mean, this is a victory for the school district, but it's a victory for the community, you know, because we're working together and we have a lot of input.
It just makes things a lot more straightforward.
Yeah. And for a question about like, how often do you foresee this? I mean, will there be revisions to this, you think, Mr. Bradshaw, or what's gonna, are we gonna be able to stick with this for a while, you think?
Hope so.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's a living document. I mean, I'm sure as the legislature changes things and we feel like the county will make some revisions to it. But I don't think it should have to be very many at all.
I mean, it shouldn't be a regular thing that you have to deal with.
I think it's pretty good set in stone right there.
And so if the county has a big development that's gonna be coming in place, I mean, obviously, there's gonna be communication with the school district and, you know, information sharing as far as impact to schools. And
Yes, we share information on a weekly basis.
Good thing. Yeah, it is.
With that, I'll make a motion to approve the interlocal agreement with the school board and local government coordination.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Dodd, second by Ms. Powers, to approve the interlocal agreement of the Citrus County School Board and local government coordination. Any more questions or comments? Thank you all so much. All in favor? Aye. Motion carries 5-0. Chief Grant.
How's everybody doing this evening?
Excellent.
So we're going to go over the annual
2021.
We're going to go over the findings and recommendations for the Citrus County School Superintendent and School Board based on our FSSATs. The data that was looked at in order to come up with this recommendation was the district best practices of assessment from 2018-19, review of Senate Bill 7026 and 7030 for compliance and policy changes. I think you saw some of those in one of the policies earlier tonight. Review of 2018-19 Hardening Grant and the in-progress security changes that we're currently making. Completion of the 2019-20 School Security Risk Assessment Campus Tour with leaders from each school, members of the Citrus County Sheriff's Office SRO Unit, Citrus County Fire Rescue, the Empress Fire Department, Crystal River Fire Department, Nature Coast EMS, the Citrus County School Board Safety Specialist, and the Citrus County School Board Code Compliance staff. And review of DOE letters providing recommendations on school safety procedures. With that, and doing this 428 question document for all of our school sites this year, this is just some high level overviews. We're not getting into specifics at any given school, but findings and recommendations for discussion and approval are we need to enhance control visitor access at 5 of our schools to better secure school entryways. We need to provide first responder access for fire law and EMS for any emergency, any time of the day or night. We need to look at adding additional electronic locks for funding additional electronic locks as funding allows. We have applied for a grant to help offset the cost of this. We're waiting on finding out the approval of that process. We need to strengthen our unification policies and procedures. I'm actively working on that at this time. We need to look at, again, as funding allows, increasing our mass communication systems for our middle schools. We also have noticed some gaps, and we need to look at our two-way communication systems and what our options are there and what are the best options for the money that we have available in the schools in the event of emergency. And then continue the enhancement of the school security in general with the need of additional fencing, impact film, and cameras. The document itself, all 428 questions that we've discussed in the past, are not public record. The results of the summary are not public record. The questions they ask are not public record, but we are required to give this overview to the board for your input and recommendations. So we are not getting into a really in-depth, detailed report at this time. So with that, I'll put any questions you may have, comments.
We had to answer
428 questions. Not by myself. It was very much a team effort that was finally reviewed by the principal at each school for their school, but everybody had a hand in it. It was definitely a team effort. A lot to cover.
I appreciate your knowledge and your effort to keep our kids safe.
Thank you.
Hear, hear. Any direction you need from us at this time?
Nope, just approval on the recommendations.
Approval? Second.
I'm sorry, I'm just looking to make sure I had the right one. Yeah, I didn't see that, so that's right. That's okay. Ms. Counts, and then who was the second? Ms. Powers? Ms. Counts moved and Ms. Powers second for us to approve the Florida School Safety Assessment Tool recommendations. Any questions or comments, Mr. Doctor?
So I know you mentioned the principal signed off on each school-specific FSSAT.
Correct.
And you obviously were involved with helping coordinate those questions and.
Yeah, we sat down in committee and decided based on the question, if it was facilities related, Eric Stokes and his team answered those. There were questions that were answered by Dr. Hebert and his team, questions answered by Kit. Depending on what the questions were and what they entailed, those questions were answered by those people with the most expertise in those areas. And then, of course, the school-specific questions were all answered by the schools. And then the entire thing was reviewed by each school principal to make sure they were, because they're ultimately responsible for the answers for their school, that they were happy with those answers. And we went back and made some changes based on some of their comments. And but they had the actual final review authority for each school for all 428 questions.
And then we are approving your recommendations or the findings and the recommendations here. And like you mentioned, we can't get into the specifics of maybe, areas that we may have deficiencies in, but we've identified those and the board is aware of the big picture here with obviously, funding issues that's going to take for us a lot of money to address all of these issues. And so that is a challenge that we face as a board with having to prioritize the needs of the district as far as school safety goes. And with that, only having a limited amount of money to use right now. But I do appreciate the work that's gone into it. I know we have the district-wide one that we talked about, and we have been in closed session, and I think it's fair that we let the public know that the board is able to talk about these items in closed session because of the significance of not wanting to talk about areas that we need to improve in the public eye, but yet we are aware of them. And so we work together, and Buddy, I do appreciate the coordination. I know you had a drill over at Christopher High School, an active shooter drill that brought in all these agencies, first responders to talk about, what if, and there are so many what ifs that we can't control, but by golly, we're going to do everything we can to be ready and to be trained and to have our people in a good sense of knowing that communication, all those things are so important to keeping our kids safe. So I appreciate the work that's being done.
Thank you, and I think those drills are important, at the level we did the other day, and I think you'll see future drills where we'll get even more involved and more up to speed as all the pieces and parts come together and are used to working together. I know every agency across the county that was involved in this process, every person from the district that was involved in it, fully understands the gravity of the document and the things that they're recommending and stating. And the drills, the same thing, they all understand how important being ready in the event that something was to happen, and with the hope of setting things in place that nothing will happen.
Mr. Dodd, I think you brought up some great points. The concern I think we still are going to be truly struggling with is our primary focus and function is educating students, and we're getting to a point where we're having to choose between having the tools to educate students and the tools that are mandated by the state to have for safety and security. And that's going to be a tough balance, because how do we say, well, we're not going to get books this year again because we're going to have to invest in something else. And I hope we don't find ourselves in that position, and that the state finds some other ways for us to get where we're needing to go, because some of the challenges that are being put on districts are monumental to have to meet the safety requirements that the state's putting on us. So it is going to be a tough balancing act. It's going to be a tough balancing act. So, and Chief, again, I saw some of the footage because I had to be at another event, but wow, I mean, just what our teachers and our staff that you're trying very hard to educate them to. I was in a meeting with Representative Mazzullo where he referred to your program with the Guardians as the model for the state. And it truly is, because you're not just doing minimal training, you are doing continual training. So thank you.
Thank you.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
All right, so I'm coming to bring to you an update on the budget. You received the investment reports and the financial statements as of August. Just so you know, the Fed did cut the interest rate, so we may start receiving a little less money on our money. August, September, October are always lean months in our investments and our cash. And then November, we'll start receiving our tax dollars, so we'll be able to invest some more of those and try to make some more money. With that said, we've received about 1% of our tax dollars so far this year. So even though we're about, as of August, I should say, we're about 12% through the revenue collection process for the year, so as of August. School recognition money will come in next week, and our 3 schools that are receiving that this year are CHS, Forest Ridge, and IPS. So their SAC committees will be meeting, and if you're on those, you'll be attending those meetings, and they'll be voting on how to use those dollars. Best and Brightest funds did get distributed, and they came in last week to the districts, and as you know from earlier today, they're working on how to distribute those. So an update on the capital work plan. It was opened and then it was closed because they had the incorrect numbers for PICO and CONDS, even though we would have liked the PICO money, but they took it away. So they closed that, and they reopened it actually this morning. And Mr. Dixon and myself will begin working on that, and it will come to you November 12th. We will have a public hearing to approve that, and depending on the numbers that we had to estimate for capital versus what they actually are in there for capital, the budget may have to, that total $250 million budget number may have to come in that public hearing. So the trim process is done, but based on what happens when we get to those final numbers in the work plan, that might have to change. So the state is making concessions as they're the ones who didn't open it until today. So any questions? All right, with that, we will see you next month at the public hearing and the meeting. So have a good evening.
She said we didn't have to have a workshop, did you hear it?
I thought I heard that too. Attorney Legal Matters. I knew you'd love that. Approval of the minutes. Motion?
I move to approve the minutes from the August 27th special meeting workshop and the September 10th regular meeting. Can I do them both? Is that all right?
Sure, works for me.
Okay, A and B.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Dodd, a second by Ms. Bryant to approve the August 27th and September 10th, 2019 special meeting and workshop and the regular meeting and public hearing. Any questions or comments?
I would have liked to have seen them in a PDF file here so I could.
They're not attached?
Yep, I found them online. Let me see.
I think I tried to go to the other board.
Oh yeah, if you click on it, there's a little clock there that says view minutes.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Didn't it come up when
I
you
was
just?
just being lazy. I just wanted to.
No, I noticed that too. I noticed that too, though. I was looking for them, but why is that?
Because the clock in the minutes,
Yeah.
I think that is,
That's how
It's
it's
done.
done, yeah, that's just.
All
done.
the others have this little.
But I
All
can,
the
I
others
can
have
do
those.
that and an attachment.
Okay. I think they were.
She's only got one.
that was good. That was, okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries 5-0. Citizens' comments, last call. Anybody wishing to come forward? Mr. King, thank you again for being here. Any other business? Dr. Hebert? Mr. Mullen? Mr. Dodd?
You know, it's interesting to see the movement with the governor's proposal on increasing starting pay for teachers. So I know that's all on our agendas, and as we are looking at that and as we see how that comes out of this legislative session, but I think it's good news. I'm excited about it. I hope that you know, there's going to be some additional money given to our teachers and put forward, and so I'm excited to see that that proposal come out. Eniehassie's having their spaghetti dinner coming up on October 24th.
Ooh.
And so it is $10 per person, and it's 3:30 to 7 on October 24th. They sent me a flyer. I don't know. I don't have tickets, but I don't know if anyone in the district does or where to get them. But I know that if you can call down there. But I just wanted to mention that Unity Day. The Royal Legacy Foundation is going to continue to give money to the middle schools for Royal Acts of Kindness. We give those checks out on Unity Day, which is a part of the March Against Bullying and the National Bullying Prevention Month. This year is going to be October 23rd. And because the city of Inverness, the roads downtown are all under construction and where we used to.
You can do it in Christian River, that's fine.
Well, no, I'm just kidding. That would be a great idea for next year. This year,
I'm totally teasing
we're
with you
going,
too. So
we're going back, the first ever walk we started at Cornerstone.
yeah.
We actually walked all the way down to the old courthouse, but we're gonna start at Cornerstone. We're gonna have a little gathering there. We're gonna go down Stadium Road, or Highlands, Montgomery, Stadium Road, Highlands, back to Cornerstone, and we're going to have a little rally there at the church. So you're all invited to come out. Wear orange. Orange is the color for bullying prevention. And if you guys can make it, it's going to be a really neat time, and we're going to present those checks to the middle schools. But a great coordinator. October 23rd, which is a Tuesday, at 4 p.m. I guess that will be is that our workshop day?
It is, but we'll be done by then.
Yeah, we'll be done by
No,
then.
22nd.
Oh, I'm sorry. 23rd is a Wednesday. Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
It's a Wednesday.
Yeah.
It's a Wednesday, not a Tuesday. So the other thing is Red Ribbon Weeks, October 23rd to 31st. Send a message, stay drug free is the theme, and I know our elementary schools especially involved with that, but I like to keep that on the radar as we keep this fight against drugs, and especially with vaping now and all the dangers of vaping. And also I was given some information on the school threats awareness campaign that the Department of Juvenile Justice is doing on online threats. It's called It's No Joke. And I'm not sure if how we're involved with that, but I just got that information today. But that's something I hope we can look at. It's It's No Joke, and they're dealing with online threats on their school threat awareness campaign. Next week, the Stillman Douglas Commission is actually going to meet in Orlando. Our first meeting outside of Tallahassee. We've had all our meetings in Broward County, but and then we had our meeting when we presented our annual report in Tallahassee last year, but this will be the first meeting outside of Broward County, and it's going to be in Orlando next week, and we're going to be reviewing the next set of recommendations as we get prepared to make those to the legislature and the governor. But it is in the plans to have a discussion on our topic here in Citrus County with the verbal threats. So I was assured that is a topic of discussion, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's not a recommendation. Obviously, the commission has to decide. I can't speak for the commission, but I'm certainly going to be promoting that as we have in a lot of different areas. But that's what I have. Thank you.
Okay, so Ms. Counts and I went to Environmental Jeopardy. What happened to you, Mr. Kennedy? You were
I
supposed
was
to be
here
there.
with the staff with Mr. Mazzullo.
Really?
And Jeopardy did give me a pass. They said that only because we were doing that was I excused.
Well, it was great fun.
That's really a cool
We
thing.
had a good time, didn't we? All right, I'm going to a bajillion SAECs. And then we went to, you were there, Linda was there, Doug was there for a while at WTC.
Oh, yes.
What was that we were
School
at?
advisory, school advisory council training.
Yeah, we got trained.
I had a swim meet. Actually, it was that swim meet.
Okay.
That was
You
fun.
had previous. I wasn't asking where you were.
Was it good? Because I'm sure it was.
It was excellent.
Oh, yes.
It was excellent. Trish did an excellent job.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome.
You taught her. She had a good teacher.
I coached them.
Oh, wow. The superintendents now that they're
Of
fighting
course.
over who gets.
No, we taught together.
That's
Right.
true.
Back in the day, yeah. All right, that's all I have.
Scott, could you come up and chat some stuff? The International Baccalaureate parents and groups sent the sweatshirts to us, each board member, so.
Aw.
That is so cool.
Thank you. They asked me to give the sizes I just get, so I hope it's the right one.
A small?
No, you got extra small, I guess.
That's. Thank you so much.
Let me hold up. See what they look like, yeah. Oh, what's that nice one?
Oh, that is beautiful.
It's,
The Cantor Ivy?
Cantor Ivy. Yeah.
Awesome.
Great. You know, when we were talking earlier about presenting the kids who are going to graduate from college and get industry certification, I thought very much about the IB program that Mr. Bittner puts on, where he recognizes the students, and it's exactly the same as that. And that's so important to the students and the parents, and doing that for the kids in the high schools here would be such a treat, such a thing. I appreciate it. Well, let's see. Of course, we went to some enhancement council meetings. And one at Citrus High School, the student there had a lot of really good input. And I really like it when you go to one of the meetings, you have students, and some of them are elementary, like in Crystal Rivers Elementary students, and the 2 or 3 of them, and they had input on the school. This time it was Citrus High School giving some very thought out input on how the kids would like to see things happen in school. All very positive, very positive. I went to a behavioral health meeting in LaCanta, and what I noticed about this one, that people from different groups in the county come and sit down and talk about behavioral health. And this time they narrowed down some of the things they were going to try to focus on, because there's so much, you could come up with 100 topics, but they narrowed some things down, and at our next meeting, then we'll even do more stuff. But like for instance, of course, drugs would be a big concern. There are other things that are big concerns, but they want to focus on those to sort of get a handle on it, and then they'll move on to other things. So it's a good group of people from different walks of life here, different groups, just to work together. Let's see. Oh, went to the education board meeting, we've already discussed that. And went on our trip, September the 24th, which I really enjoyed the trip. I don't know whose idea that was. Thomas, it was yours. To go to
It was actually Mr. Murray's.
Mr. Murray's?
From years ago. And I just, but I just readopted it for this, I thought. Yeah.
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 And that, it was so interesting. And one thing that just plain stood out to me was the ability and expertise of people who work in the school system to do things like make gates. So
Yes.
I told you, Thomas, would you make a gate for that school?
No, I can't.
I've been sitting there for years trying to figure it, but beautiful. You couldn't tell that was something you'd gone down and bought and put up. But some real expertise that we have in the school system that sometimes we don't recognize because we're doing something else. But I recognize that, and I was very impressed with it. We had the SAC information and training that you alluded to, got to talk with each other, and the question to each of us is what would you like to see done at your school that you go to, the SAC meeting, and we all shared information, and I thought it was very beneficial, very beneficial. Let's see, what else? Tomorrow, the district art show, 4:30 to 6 o'clock, and there'll be paintings all over.
I thought that was Thursday.
Did I say tomorrow? I'm sorry, you're right, Thursday. Thank you for correcting me on that. It's at, here, 4:30 to 6 o'clock. And it's the 10th, and that is the Thursday. And then the 10th also, the parade for Citrus High School for homecoming, and on Friday, the homecoming game, so.
And they are undefeated.
They're doing great.
They are doing
great.
amazing.
And go Canes.
I'm not killed you, didn't
I cheer for Auburn every game but one, too. Don't I, Wes?
Yes, ma'am. I cheer for Florida for every game but one. I was wearing orange though, so it was, yeah, I could blend in, especially after the game.
Ms. Bryant and Ms. Hill will try to suit up to play in the game, but they won't let them on the field, so.
Auburn could have used her because we played horrible.
And I think that's it.
Well, I went to all those meetings too. But I'll tell you, I enjoyed the trip. Have to compliment Eric Stokes and Johnny Bishop for the money that they saved this school system.
Yes.
By pointing out that those gates that are around the primary school were made by our employees. It isn't work that we contracted out, so kudos to Mr. Bishop and Mr. Stokes. On the traveling, very impressed. So enlightening, but I have to tell you, one of the highlights was going to Floral City Elementary School, and we were walking out to the portables, and I was one step behind the principal. And there was a single file line of those little children coming in off that looked like maybe PE class or something like that. And every other one of them was like this to the principal. They wanted their hug, and they wanted their recognition. And I thought, that's what our school system in Citrus County is all about. We have people that love our children, and these little babies were loving them back. Not that we don't have problems in our elementary schools with other little children, but these little guys were so cute, and we love them too. But that was the highlight of my day, that we did that. And so we're all doing our SAC stuff, and I liked the meeting the other night too. But I perused some of the school improvement plans that were attached to this agenda. And we just need to say thank you to the staff and the principals that produce these documents. That's quite a bit of information, and it's so enlightening. So I hope, now it's on our computers and everybody should look at it. But a lot of work and a lot of foresight came out of that. So kudos to our administrators and our SACS people that worked on those reports. Well done.
Thank you. I shared a little bit before about Citrus 2030, but Dr. Hebert was there. You were a resource, I believe, for education. There was education, there was career and technical education, there was also safety and security, there was youth development, so there was different groups. I want to thank Gloria Bishop for also being on career and technical education. Dr. Connors came. David, thank you for being there. You got drafted while we were doing that. Beth, during the lunch, Representative Mazzullo was the featured speaker, and what he referred to was our outstanding public school system in Citrus County, and boy, that was enjoyable to hear. Mr. Dodd, you talked about the verbal threat. For those of you who may or may not know, Superintendent and I have gotten a preview of it, but HB 311, including the modifying of adding verbal threats, was filed by Ralph Mazzullo for us.
Very good.
So I am grateful again that he listens to us and has taken an active role in that. I will look to see, I think there could be any number of people who want to join that bill, and also the companion in the Senate. I know Senator Simpson has talked about his willingness to get that. I think it's going to happen. But, you know, for those of you who don't know, this isn't just an added amendment. He's run a bill just for this single issue, which I think is pretty
Dr.
significant.
Masulo is so respected up there that he's gonna get a lot of people.
I think so too. I think this is a very clear. Drug and vaping, I know we hear it everywhere. Those of us who, you know, have kids in the system, grandkids, your teachers and administrators, this is a big challenge. Last year there was efforts to try and at least make it a little more challenging for youth to legally buy or get tobacco products, particularly vaping, because there has been clearly in the media, there's been talking about that they've been targeted again to certainly use it. Even databases have been hacked in order to target young people. So I do think that we need to continue to take an active role. I do have some thoughts on it, but I do think maybe if there's the availability, if the board agrees, to maybe start getting some more of that information brought to us from student services in an upcoming workshop or something, because we definitely have increased use there. And I think for some of us, we say vaping and we kind of clump it together, but there's CBD oils that are being used, there's vaping, there's, Mr. Dodd, what's the other, because there's tobacco and then there's THC is, and they can fall into different issues, as I know that we're learning more about, even Mr. Bradshaw, that have an impact with that. So it would be good to just have some information.
That's fine, I could probably provide you some information on some of that, but that you reminded me of something that is something I needed to tell the board. I received an email from the Myers Law Firm out of Orlando, which is a very good law firm, and I think it went to most school districts in regards to, I know there was, I can't remember what states that's been filed in, but they were suing Juul.
Yes.
And all, and so, I'll get some more information and bring it to you, but it was a request to see if we wanted to join into a lawsuit, you know, in regard to suing Juul. So, I don't have a lot of information on that, and I'll gather some more and I'll bring it back to you. I think that they're trying to tie it into, the costs that's associated to school districts and different things. I'm not quite sure what costs that we're talking about, but I'll follow up.
That would be
on
certainly
that.
interesting information.
Yeah, I'll follow up on it and bring that back to y'all. I think it's right at the beginning. We're probably going to pattern it after the other lawsuits that are filed in some other states in regards to how it's affecting school districts and the cost that is associated with students.
And I think, you know, our conversation approach that we may have to do is that this isn't just a gotcha punitive, but an educational piece. And I know, I think the superintendent's been reaching out to some of the community as well to say, you know, what other things are there. The Educational Foundation, I know, is interested in playing a role. So I think we just need to start really getting proactive with that information, Mr. Goff.
Yeah, and one thing that I think we should look at is Amherst Middle School was involved with a program on that survey for 8th graders. My son took that last year, and I got to see the results. Mr. Mullen got those results for me so I could see. It's quite amazing when you look at how well, in a lot of ways, we're doing with marijuana and even somewhat tobacco, but when you look at the vaping numbers, it's very surprising how high the vaping numbers are for that age group. I was surprised. I was
surprised with even just individuals I know that seem to be kind of like, it's okay if my kid bought it or hasn't, and I'm like, ooh. And I'm not saying that I'm ready to go out and, you know, but yeah.
I think they raised the age to 21 on it.
Yeah, they did.
To be able to purchase, and I know there was, I don't know if it's happened yet or not, but banning the
flavors.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So it's just, if we can just keep it on the radar.
Yes.
Superintendent?
good to go.
Oh,
yeah,
Ms. Bowers.
Sam, I'd love to know the upstairs near your office about the live stream, because I know Doug had asked about having it recorded. I spoke to them, and they said whenever you were ready for them, just give them a call, and they'd be happy.
Live stream.
Live stream, update on the mental health, what's happening. Yeah. Thank you.
Anything else? With that, we're adjourned. Thank you, everyone.